GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com presents Bhagavad Gita for All, a lecture series by Nala Narula, recorded in front of a live audience. Chapter 10, The Infinite Opulence of the Absolute.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Last time we had completed text 18 of chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, the opulences of the Absolute, or the opulences of the Supreme Person, Krishna. And in the 18th text, Arjuna had asked Krishna, Vistarena Atmana Yogam Vibhutim Cha Janardana Bhuya Kathaya Triptehi Shrinvata Na Asti Me Amritam. I am never tired of hearing your nectarian words about your mighty potencies, about your mystic powers, about your special opulences, the Vibhutim. O Janardhan, Janardhan is the one who removes afflictions from all of mankind, the healer from the karma syndrome. So please describe to me in great detail your great potencies and glories, for I am never tired of hearing your nectarian words about descriptions about your powers and potencies. So in text 19, Sri Bhagwan Uvacha, Sri Krishna replies to Arjun's query, Hanta te kathayashyami divya hi atma vibhuteya pradhanayata kuru shreshta nasti anta vistarasya me. So he says, yes, hanta te kathayashyami. I will relate to you. I shall speak about these divine qualities and the great Atma Vibhutaya, my personal opulences, special opulences. Pradhanaya, the main ones, the principal ones, Kuru Shrestha, the best of the Kuru dynasty. Nasti anta vistarasya me. But I will speak only of those which are the most prominent, because my qualities are unlimited. Nasti anta vistarasya. There is no limit to my qualities. So, with our senses which are not perfect, with our limitations, we cannot understand entirely the qualities of Krishna. There are too many. His energies are unlimited, diverse, infinite. But Krishna is saying that I will tell you the principal ones. So then he starts to say, in text 20 of chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhuta Ashaya Sthitha Aham Adhi Cha Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Anta Eva Cha. Aham Atma Gudakesha. Gudakesha means Arjun, is referring to Arjun. And Aham Atma, I am the soul, Gudakesha, of all the living entities, that is situated within. Now Gudakesha means conqueror of ignorance, and basically the ignorance of sleep. So one who is awake even at the time of when others are sleeping, or he is having the knowledge of the spiritual truth compared to those who are in ignorance. So he is referring to Gudakesha as one who has conquered that ignorance, who is not ignorance about what is really important, and he has conquered that aspect, and I will explain to you, I will narrate to you these qualities. So, Aham Atma Gudakesha, Sarvabhutasya sthita, situated within. Aham adi cha madhyam cha bhutanam anta eva cha. That I am the beginning, I am the middle, and I am the end of all living entities. So I am the Sargam. Sargam means beginning, middle, and end. And that he is the constant factor that is powering up the soul. He is also the soul of the universe. He is the soul of the planet. He is the soul of the individual living entity, whatever bodily form he takes. In the Bhagavatam, there is an explanation of the Purusha avatars of Krishna, that the Krishna is manifesting in three forms: the Karuna Dakshay Vishnu, the Garbho Dakshay Vishnu, and the Kshiro Dakshay Vishnu. So the Kshiro Dakshay is the one who is in the heart, and the Garbho Dakshay is the one who enters the universal planetary form of existence, and the Karuna Dakshay Vishnu is the Mahavishnu when he lies down in the causal ocean and enters into the Mahatattva, the spiritual soul of the elements and the time factor. So Krishna is saying that as the Mahavishnu, his expansion comes into the causal ocean, and from there it is going into the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, which is expanding into the universes, and then the Shirodakshay Vishnu, which is entering into the as the super soul aspect. So he is the maintainer of everything. So that's why he says the beginning, the middle, and the end. So the beginning is in the causal ocean, the middle is the universal aspect, and the end point you can consider in the individual soul. And also that the soul, the super soul aspect, is traveling through the bodily form, accompanying the Atma, the individual soul, and he is the cause of all causes, as we say. And this is how this establishes definitively, as confirmed by other spiritualists, various sampradayas, they are all agreed on this point, that Krishna is the cause of all causes. In fact, I will refer to, let me see now. If we refer to the various acharyas of the sampradayas, we will see that Sri Ramanujacharya's commentary on this text was that he has referred to the Brihadaranya Upanishad, the 5:7-15, beginning with Yash Sarvashu Bhuteshu Tishthan Sarvebhyo Bhutebhyo, that one who is enthroned in the heart of all living beings, who is the innermost of all beings, and whom all beings know not, do not know him, and all these beings form his spiritual body, who rules the interior of all beings, is the Atma, the Antaryami, the immortal inner ruler. And in the same Upanishad 5:7-22, Ya Atmani Tishthan Atmano, he who is enthroned within the Atma, who resides within the interior of the Atma, whom even the Atma does not know. So the super soul is there, but the Atma aspect does not know the soul. And who are all Atmas? All the Atmas are the spiritual body, and who rules the interior of the Atma is Paramatma, the supreme Atma of all. So, enthroned as the Supreme Lord in the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings, and their cause, their evolution, and their dissolution. So, this is also the understanding of other acharyas, that Krishna is the cause of all causes, and he is seated in the heart of all creatures. That is the place of the Paramatma, and actually the Atma does not even recognize that. So when the Atma is enlightened, when the Atma is aware and gets the knowledge and the experience, comes to realize that Krishna is the Supreme. So then we have text 21 of chapter 10. Aditya Nam Aham Vishnu Jyotisham Ravi Anshuman Marich Marutam Asmi Nakshatranam Aham Sashi. Of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of all the Adityas, of all the radiant lights, I am the sun, the radiant, brilliant sun. I am Marichi of the Maruts, the wind gods, and among the stars I am Shashi, the moon. Now there are 27 nakshatras, and the principle governing those nakshatras is moon is the brightest or the most prominent. The sun is the most prominent in terms of the brilliant bodies. The moon is, of course, the reflected light of the sun. The sun is also considered to be Krishna's right eye or Mahavishnu's right eye. And the moon is the left eye. So Marichi is the controlling deity of space. So all these represent Krishna. That is, his powers and his potencies are represented by these. If we look at other aspects of it, which aspect, if we consider of Vishnu he is talking about here, if we give the reference, that he's earlier mentioned that he's the beginning, the middle and the end, and he's the, in other words, the cause of all causes, we can consider Vaman Dev as the aspect of Vishnu that is being referred here, because Vaman Dev in 3 steps he crossed over the entire creation, from the lowest planets to the highest planets and into the spiritual world. So he crossed all of material creation and he crossed all of spiritual creation. So he is, and he was, Vaman Dev appeared as a dwarf Brahmin, and he was given the boon of 3 paces of land. He could take 3 steps, and that land the king would give him. And so the first step covered the entire hellish planet, the material world. The second step covered the spiritual world, and then the third step was on the king's head. King said, "Put your step on my head because there is no other place left." So then he pushed him down to the hellish planets and also liberated the king. So we have many references here as to the special potencies, the special opulences of Krishna, and what he represents in the material universe, in the spiritual universe, and how he is explaining this to Arjun now. So that is text 21. 22. Vedanam samaveda asmi, devanam asmi vasva, indriyanam manaschasmi, bhutanam asmi chetana. Of the Vedas I am Samved, and of the demigods I am Indra. Vasava means the heavenly king, which is Indra. So it is established clearly here that heavenly king or heavenly father does not refer to the supreme Krishna, but a demigod who we know as Indra. In various other cultures he has different names, but here he is known as Indra, and his special weapon is the thunderbolt. So that is the Norse god Thor, or Odin actually is the thunderbolt god also. So these are all various representations in various cultures of Indra. So Vasava Indriyanam Mana Cha Asmi Bhutanam. Of the senses I am the mind, and I am in living beings I am the Chetna, the consciousness living force. Now this is very significant for you as healers, because this Chetna, the consciousness, living force, another word for that is universal life force energy, which is, of course, as we know, Reiki. So he is saying here that he is that life force within the living entities. So this is important for us to connect with, that I am the life force and I am. This Chetna is also here, Bhaktivedanta Swami, for example, has given a reference that this is knowledge also. Consciousness means knowledge. So this consciousness of supreme knowledge, supreme understanding of the truth of the reality of the universe, that Krishna is that as well. Now, consciousness is coming from spiritual power. It is not available through material potencies of any kind, which is clarified here. And if we look at this text 21 and 22, we understand that not only is Lord Krishna the soul, super soul, powering the soul up, but he is also that consciousness, the Chetna, or the consciousness, or the knowledge that enlightens that soul. So this is something that we need to look at, think of, and meditate on, that he is also the soul power, he is the super soul, and he is also the knowledge or consciousness or understanding about the spiritual aspects. So I think we will pause here at 22 because we have discussed quite a few things here from text 19 to 22, and we will continue next time. So if there are any questions, I will take a few questions now. Nobody has any questions? How about the famous question askers at the back? No questions today?
Is it possible to quickly run through these slokas again?
Yes, okay. You want me to go through these slokas again?
Too much covered.
Too much covered, you thought? Okay. Really? All right. Okay. Yeah, so we can think about it in detail. I will go back to text 17, where Arjun is asking Krishna, Katham vidyaham yogins Tvam sada parichantayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyasi bhagwan maya. So he's saying, how I should meditate on you. His question was, Krishna, how should I meditate on you? What are the various forms that you should be meditated on? Which forms should we meditate upon? What are the forms that we should look at? And what is your nature, and how should we remember that nature? O Bhagwan, Supreme Lord. So Krishna has said that his understanding about him in text in chapter 9, he said that he is covered by Yoga Maya. So he is covered by his divine illusory potencies. So unless that potency approves of your access into this information and knowledge, you will not get there. And how do you get there? Through divine, transcendental, devotional service to Krishna. That is a very, very important factor. So his Yogamaya energy will not allow anyone and everyone to access his understanding. So if he is not accessing understanding of Krishna, then he is accessing materialistic understanding, which is illusory. Ultimately, he may be expert in the material aspects, but he cannot go beyond into the spiritual truth or the reality of how things really are. And in text 18, Arjuna is requesting Krishna, please tell me in great detail, Janardhan. Janardhan, as we said, is the aspect of Krishna who is the healing aspect, and from whom the healing energies directly emanate, the ones that remove the karmic bindings and remove all afflictions. The definition of Janardhan, or one of the meanings of Janardhan, is one who removes afflictions from all living entities. So he is the liberator he is the greatest disease healer. The disease is the karma syndrome, birth, death, old age and disease. So he'll liberate, Janardhan will liberate. So Krishna is being addressed by by Arjun specifically as Janardhan, that how do you remove the afflictions of mankind? So in that understanding, please guide me a little bit more. And I am never tired of hearing your nectarian, about your nectarian opulences. Tell me in great detail. So Krishna replies by saying that I will certainly tell you, Hanta te, I will tell you yes. Now the word Hanta here is used in an affectionate way. This is the yes form of saying, it's the affirmative. However, the other meaning of Hanta is also, a negative meaning is there of Hanta, is that it is alas, oh, high kind of situation. But that is not the way it is being referred to here. Hanta te, yes, my dear, in other words, very affectionately, certainly. Kathayashyami, I shall speak. Divya hi atma vibhutaya, about my divine special personal opulences, but only of the pradhanayata, the principal ones. Pradhanayata means the main ones, because best of Kurus, Kuru Shrestha, na asti anta vistarasya me. There is no end to my opulences. There is no end to it. So I cannot tell you all of it here. I will give you the principal ones, and which is the most significant one. So whatever Krishna is saying here now is significant for us to connect with in detail if we meditate on this. Aham atma gudakesha sarva bhuta ashayastita aham adi cha madhyam cha bhutanam anta eva cha. I am the beginning, the middle and the end of all living entities, of all the souls, all the living entities, whatever bodily form they take. And if you go back to the triple aspect of the Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha, starting with the Karanodaksha Vishnu, the causal ocean, and then going to the Garbhodaksha Vishnu, where the universes are generated, and then the Kshirodaksha Vishnu, which is now the aspect of the Paramatma. So there are different souls of the universe, the souls of the Mahatattva and the soul of the individual, the super soul rather, becomes the super soul of all these creations. So I am seated in the heart of all creatures. I am the beginning, middle and end of all beings. And then in text 21, Krishna says, I am of all the Adityas, of all the bright luminaries, of all the brilliant lights. I am the radiant sun, and of the Adityas I am Vishnu, and I am Marichi of the Maruts, that is the one who is in charge of space, the controlling deity of heavenly space. Why is that important? You can understand Vishnu. Why Vishnu? Of all the Adityas I am Vishnu. Vishwa ke har anu ke andar. He is in the center of every atom in the universe. The radiant sun is the life-giving sun of all the planetary lives. Also, it is part of the universal time factor. Time throughout the universe is a constant if calculated by the deterioration of one molecule of sunlight. And I am Marichi of the Maruts in space, the controller of the space. Why is that? Because the wind, he has compared earlier, he has mentioned that just as the wind blows in space, but space is not in the wind, but the wind is in the space, I am that space in which all the living entities are created. So, they live in me, but I do not live in them. That I am not affected by them, I am not influenced by them, but they all survive because of me. I give them the space to survive. And among the stars I am the moon. The moon is a reflected light of the sun and glows brightly at night. It is also giving the energy for the plants and the vegetables and growing things to grow. It gives the ojas, the life force energy. Also, we can consider that the moon is a reflection of what the soul is. If the sun is the soul, the moon is the mind. So the mind is delusional when it is detached from the soul power or the soul sense. So when the mind, Krishna says that I am also consciousness. So I am the consciousness in the living entity. He goes on to say in text 22, Vedanam samaveda asmi, devanam asmi vasava, indriyanam manah cha asmi, bhutanam asmi chetana. So I am the living force, the chetna, the knowledge aspect also is being revealed by me. So we can consider if the soul power and the super soul power are directly connected, then there is the consciousness of the truth, the realization of truth, that knowledge comes. And of the Vedas and the Samved, which is the chanting of the mantras and the so on. And I am Devanam of the demigods. I am the king of heavenly planets, of all the demigods, who is Indra. And also is master of the senses. And of those senses, I am the mind, the living force, consciousness. So this is very, very detailed understanding of what are the principal potencies that within our reference range of understanding. So this he has given some information as to how we may understand his opulences and how he is represented, how his opulences are represented in various ways. So that is text 22. Okay, so we'll pause here at 22. So is this clear now?
It's kind of, I think, gradually building, taking us to ultimately show his form.
Yes, yes. Yes, it will reveal more and more about himself. Yeah. Now, normally this description, if you look at it, most commentators or people who read, I would say most people who read the Bhagavad Gita, they'll just skim through this one because they don't, okay, I am this, I am that, what does it mean? Even if you have some basic understanding of slight detail, you can understand it, but as Krishna says that he is covered by his Yogamaya potency. This is actually an obstacle course test, in my opinion. That if you don't understand this, it doesn't really lay the groundwork for understanding further things. So this is actually a hole where people fall into, and they don't consider this as a very significant part of the Bhagavad Gita. They're saying it is just a listing. It is not just a listing. It has very deep meanings depending on, which understanding you are accessing at that point in time. So he is given details as to how his potencies are there, how his opulences are there, how his special powers are there, and so on. Any other? Yes.
So, but then how is it helpful that we know it? Because I also did this. I just read it and I said, okay, he's everywhere, but what do I do with it?
Yeah, so now you're getting a more detailed understanding of what it means. You are getting a more...
Mind, knowing that he is the mind, for example?
Well, because the mind is also depends on if the mind is connected to Krishna consciousness. Then it is illuminated. Otherwise it is the dark night of the moon. See, the illumination aspect of Krishna is happening when? When is the mind fully illumined? When it is not interfering. So actually mind has to be very silent. So mind has to be the dark aspect. If it is eclipsed by the sun, only then you are able to access the soul power, because sun is the soul. So if you look at it in the materialistic understanding, if at the time of your birth, for example, the sun and moon are 180 degrees opposite, so the mind is very powerful. So it can be very powerful for illusion also, materially oriented. Now if the sun and moon are together, the mind is completely eclipsed. Or you can consider it is directly connected to the sun, the soul power. So Amavasya, anybody born on Amavasya, may be a very highly connected person. It is considered to be by some to be inauspicious. But many spiritualists are born at that time. So the significance of being born at a time when the sun is all powerful means the soul power is all powerful regardless of anything else. So that is one aspect. Now leaving that aside, the illumination of the sun is pure spiritual energy. So how can we access that? We can access that through bhakti yoga, through seva to Krishna. So that is what Krishna is explaining in Bhagavad Gita. So when you read these, then you get a more detailed understanding, not only of the universe around you, but your internal universe. One can state, whatever is outside is also inside you as a universe. What does that mean? Sounds good. Nobody knows what it means. Right? Huh? As within, as without, as within. Oh, wonderful. What does it mean? Who knows? So, Krishna is telling you what that means. What is outside, what is inside.
The soul, is he referring to the soul?
Is referring to the soul, is referring to your inner universe.
Which is?
Which is the mind, the soul. The sun is representing the soul. The moon is representing the mind. Oh, now you got it. Okay. Yeah.
So how you interpret life would be the reflection of what is happening inside?
Of course. Isn't that how you interpret life? Something happens to you and saying, so bad, very bad, I'm being singled out. And if something good is happening, I did it. Huh? Something bad happens, somebody else did it. Huh?
He is the master of the senses. So this is
But you are not the master of your senses. So then you have to connect and become the master of your senses.
So sir, the thing is that if he is the master, that means I am not doing anything.
No. He is saying, I am not responsible for your actions.
But then he said he is the master of the
He is the master of his senses.
It's not mentioned.
Yeah. And he is the master of consciousness. I mean, master means what? Controller. So if you access him, then you can control the senses. On your own, you can't control them.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need his connectivity and blessings in an empowered way by your actions and by your thought process. So if you have a thinking process, I have to approach Krishna in this way, then you have to act accordingly. If you do not act in that way, how are you going to approach? How are you going to master your senses? So there are regulative principles. Don't do this, don't do this, do this, do this, and so on. Like that. So regulate your senses. These are the admonitions that you should not do these things, and then there is the positive aspect. You should engage yourself in bhakti yoga. You should engage yourself in serving Krishna. So service to Krishna is very important, and then the second step is serving him in devotional, loving attitude. So one may be serving Krishna in indirectly, inadvertently, somehow, without knowledge. And then as your connectivity improves, as you continue on this path, Krishna illuminates you from within and elicits from you your original loving potency, which then becomes devotional service in loving potency. in loving aspect.
So I was rereading the 5th chapter because suddenly I forgot my basics, so I said let me revisit. So it said in the last few shlokas, I don't remember exactly, that that the living entity is not doing anything, but the
The
material
soul is not doing anything, but he is captured in the sense that he is pure, but he is now in illusion. So he is suffering because of that.
So when they say that it says that one who understands that the soul doesn't do anything, but the material modes are active.
Yes, the material
That
modes. So that is your ego, false ego. Krishna says that the three material modes of nature are part of my superior separated energy. The inferior energy is you. Yeah. The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance is Krishna says, is my separated superior energy. And the inferior energy is the mind, intelligence and false ego. So there are these elements. There are 8 elements. The 5 basic elements. This is the inferior energy. And mind, intelligence and ego. So 8. Space, air, fire, water, earth. 5 elements. The Mahat Tattva which he is referring to are the source of these. And the time element is also sitting there. And then mind, intelligence and false ego that develops out of the interaction. They have captured the soul because the soul wanted to go in a particular direction. So those energies are now forming his body. These are the impermanent aspects. The permanent aspect is the soul. So the permanent aspect is not doing anything, but the soul is situated within this body, made of these 8 elements. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that the soul is traveling throughout the universe as though seated in this yantra, in this machinery, which is now, he is now having a tourism going on throughout the universe. He goes from the higher planets, lower planets, different bodies, and as his credits keep accumulating or running out, he keeps going into different bodies. So he is the universal traveler, traveling across. He's a spaceman traveling away. Yeah, spaceman traveling else. So many different life forms.
So who's doing something? So what is my role? If Krishna, he says he's the cause of all causes, he's the master of the senses.
Origins, yes. He is the master of the senses, yes. So he can help you now. Well, you have to make a choice. Whether you want to continue in the consciousness of being unaware of who Krishna is and what is the truth and the reality of life, or to become aware. That is your only choice.
And then who does?
Then Krishna does all the work for you.
So when I'm writing or reading, who's doing that?
You are doing it. Who's you? Which you? It's a combination. It's a combination.
She's thinking, when she asked me,
The spiritual...
she's doing. I said, no, God's doing it.
No, God is not doing any. No. God is not doing your action. Sorry, 1 minute. God is not doing what you're doing. He is giving you the power to decide what to do. You are doing something. That's your action. Krishna is situated in your heart as the Paramatma. He is also guiding you how to access your karmic consequences. Please understand that. So, he is telling you how you should access your karmic consequences. Do this, do that. When you become a spiritualist in the sense of being empowered, plus you are working towards with that energy and your consciousness develops to a greater state of sensitivity, then you begin to discriminate. This is something, I have the choice of doing this. Should I do it or should I not? So, Krishna has said earlier that if a person is situated rightly, he may be the most Udaracharya person, the most abominable actions he can commit. But if he is rightly situated, he is not to be criticized. Because that is your past karma. So once you transition to the point of working with the spiritual energy, your Brahminical connection by whatever name, called Reiki, Brahmin, anything, then you have the empowerment to work to detoxify your actions. And last time we had discussed that it starts with Karam Yoga, which is motivated. When you are doing healing, you are all motivated Karam Yogis with the spiritual potency. Then you come to Gyan. You begin to understand. And then you come to Bhakti. Before Bhakti, you go into Seva. Krishna says, those who serve me. Seva. Seva is the key. And then the next level is Bhakti. So these are all transition phases that we can see in healers going from material stimulation or material desire to getting more gyan, getting more knowledge, and then engaging more in service of Krishna. And then engaging in the service of Krishna with loving devotional service. So that is coming final. That's the last step. But these are all steps on the way. So it may happen in one lifetime, it may happen in more. It doesn't matter. Because wherever you leave off in your previous lifetime, you start off from there in your next lifetime. Krishna answers this for Arjuna earlier. When Krishna is telling him, Arjuna is asking him, that what happens to a person who's not completed his work? Is he just torn apart like clouds in the wind and all his work is wasted? He says, no, I give them a chance in their next birth. To be born in a family of rich merchants or in a family of knowledgeable devotees who are my devotees. So there is no loss. Why the rich merchants? Because then you don't have to struggle for your livelihood. That is taken care of. And then you progress from there. Then the other birth is that you are born in the family of Brahmins or people who are knowing. Brahmin means one who knows, knowledgeable person. So that knowledge is coming to you. You may have the fortune to be born in both types of families. You may or may not. It depends. What do you do with it going forward? You may drop away, but your initial start has been positive, let's say. You may get deviated. Like Ajamil the Brahmin was deviated in the Bhagavatam. There's a narrative about the Brahmin who fell down very badly, and then eventually he was liberated also. So it's no loss. So you may be rotating in many areas, you may be rotating throughout the universe. Ultimately, by Krishna's grace, by his arrangement, you will come to some point. You will get some connection through the spiritual master where you will progress. So you will find that place according to your capability. So the spiritual master will come according to your capability. That's the sum of it.
So when Krishna gives you the guidance how to access your, like the karmic stored, whatever.
That's Reiki. As a healer, he gives you the power to access it and change it.
To change it also.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. That is the Janardhan aspect, remover of afflictions. So as the remover of afflictions, he gives us Reiki, he gives us the KQ force, he gives us other such karma neutralizing energies to finish your karmic bank balance.
Does it mean that doing this Reiki, we are doing a Krishna Bhakti?
Yes, you are doing service to Krishna, but it may not be Bhakti yet. Yes.
Shipred asked a question about 15 minutes back. Which comes first, being in devotional service of Lord Krishna or access to an understanding of Lord Krishna are both equally important? Later she says that got answered. Then she is further asking, Sir said everyone does not access to his understanding unless in service. So how to be in the service without understanding? Does service come before understanding and how?
Well, all Shipra has to do is to look at her own experience as a healer. She had no understanding of Krishna when she came to healing, did she? Or not this kind of understanding. So that's the position of all healers. That anybody can gain access because everybody is motivated. I want money, I want honey, I want I want health, I want this, I want that, I want my miserable condition to be healed, all my afflictions should go away. Now only Janardhan can do it. So he is coming through the Reiki and the KQ force energy. So even if you are doing it in ignorance, so at least you are getting agyat sukriti. Pious activity we may consider you are doing sometimes. All the activities you are sending healing to are pious. Some are transcendental. Pious means they'll give you some positive material benefit. But the transcendental aspect will remove the binding consequences of that. So it works as a mixture. So the more you know, the more focused you are. For example, you may say, I'm doing my healing, but now I have to go and do this puja and I have to go to this demigod. Krishna is saying, no, that's not pure. Pure is very difficult. So if you are content to go around, okay, I will go and bow down in front of the demigods also and ask them for favors, make contracts with them which I will break and then I will suffer and then blame healing has not healed my problem. Because I went to this temple and I had a contract with the demigod. And then when it got done, I said, healing did it. Why should I go to the demigod? So now the demigod is going to get very upset with you and saying, what is this nonsense? You made a contract, you better honor it. So therefore we advise you, do not make contracts with demigods. Do not make promises. Make none of those.
So when Krishna says unalloyed, under the demigods, do other people also come?
People
That they don't
also.
have to
Unalloyed, devotional, unalloyed, mean no demigods.
Not even, I'm telling you, nobody else also. Don't blame somebody else for...
No, you can't blame anybody.
Going to give you something, just like a father is getting angry with him. I said, instead of that, you go to him, who is actually
go to Krishna.
running all of us.
For example, I'll give you an example in a different way. That people are saying, Saturn is responsible for this position of my affliction in life. Mars is responsible. Rahu, Ketu, this position in my horoscope. The stars, the demigods, the planets. Krishna is saying, forget them, approach me. Because I am who give them their power. And whether they know it or not. They do not know my origin because I was there before them. They do not know my origin. No demigod knows his origin. No sage Rishi knows his origin because he is prior to all of them. Some of them have some knowledge about Krishna. Some of them have a lot of knowledge about Krishna. Like Lord Brahma is fully aware of who Krishna is. The other demigods may not be. In fact, question was asked that this is Lord Shiva's verdict on Ved Vyas, that although Ved Vyas compiled the Vedas, he may or may not know the meaning of it. But his son, Shukadev, he knows. So, book knowledge or translation or dictation, and of course, Lord Ganesh was the transcriber. He was the secretary who wrote it down after Ved Vyas spoke. So, he's saying that some of these people may or may not know, but Shukadev Goswami for sure knows. He's saying even Ved Vyas does not know. I doubt it. Maybe he knows. Maybe he doesn't know. So like that.
So know means that to know that he's the cause of everything. Is that knowing?
Knowing is, if your actions are not following that knowledge, then it is theoretical.
Sometimes.
But see, Krishna is saying earlier that whatever opulence you see in somebody is I have given it to him. It is actually my opulence that you are seeing in others. So it is not difficult to see Krishna everywhere. When you admire someone, oh, what a great actor so-and-so is, all you young kids here. What a great pop star. So that's Krishna's potency manifesting in that person because he has worked to unlock that or to demonstrate that energy. So that's fine. It's like Krishna's energy. So you can see Krishna in everything and everyone if you consider like that. Somebody is very beautiful. What did they do for him? God knows. It's an accident of birth or genes or whatever. But certainly they did something to get that. And that is also Krishna's potency. Manifesting everywhere. So all the talent, Krishna says somebody is a great musician. That is coming from Krishna. He says that is my opulence that is manifesting in this person. He has nothing of his own. I am such a great pianist. No, you're not. Krishna's energy you've unlocked because of your working towards that.
So is that a choice I make? Or
Yes, it's a choice. No, it randomly doesn't give you anything. You wanted to be a brilliant musician or a pianist, so Krishna has encouraged you.
So
So knowing his position and totally relying on him, there is a very thin line where like I have observed in myself where you can become egoistic, or you could be considered egoistic because you're not bowing down to each and everyone. It's only one.
No, Krishna says that you see me in everyone, then why will you not bow down in that? And that is the reverse logic you are giving. Then you are not understanding.
So you might respect, but you might not be dependent on.
Well, Ajay Harit had asked this question. It is very difficult that if we see the super soul or Krishna in everyone, how are we to deal with them? So I said, you are thinking that because Krishna is in them, I have to bow down in the sense that, you are Krishna. No. The super soul is there in all living entities, but is not manifesting as the super soul. He is there as the witness. So, it is not that this person is such a great crook, let me bow down towards him because Krishna is inside him. This wonderful tiger is coming to eat me. Okay, Krishna, eat me. Krishna is not interested in eating you, is the tiger. So, the tiger is not manifest Krishna. Or is not manifesting Krishna's supreme divine potencies. Krishna is powering him. And according to his karma, the tiger has got that birth, and you have the karma to face the tiger. That's your karma. So you can access Krishna and the healing energy and say, okay, please do something, help, whatever. So just because the super soul is in everyone, he is not to be treated as though there is the divine manifestation directly in that person, not necessary.
Sir, what I've understood whenever you have been gone through till this chapter, now it's easier for me to understand that other person. I think that's how it was easier to say than say, now he's sitting there. It's what's happening to me is happening to that person too.
Also.
So it was easier to understand that he was there, like the way he's inside here.
Yeah, he's inside everyone.
It's easier for.
So if you have a heart-to-heart connection, what does heart-to-heart mean? This only. Heart-to-heart does not mean sexual power to sexual power, which everybody thinks heart is sitting somewhere south of the border. It is not actually. That is other stuff that's happening there. So you may have a physical attraction, you may have a sexual attraction, but that is also Krishna is saying that that I am also that power of generation. So how you're using it, like animals or like more enlightened human beings. So human beings can be like animals also, even though in a human being body. So what is the difference between the actual difference is that between animals and humans is that the human beings have the power of choice or discrimination. And if you have more knowledge, if you have more understanding, if you know what is the right path, you will be pulled to that right path through all your trials and tribulations. You may have some serious problems. You may face many obstacles. Everyone will face, that is for sure. And just because, you're saying now I am connected to the healing energy, I should have no problems in life. No, that's not going to happen. What is going to happen is that Krishna will take your hand and walk you through all your problems. That is the thing. So that is the main power. So he will walk you through. Yeah.
Shloka saying grateful. Then she says, from wishes, desires to duty, in brackets, sending healing regardless of result, to loving devotional services as I understand the transition. At different times, one may be at different levels, but one is in service nevertheless.
Yes. You will be in service when you are using the healing energies, because if you go back to the slok where Krishna says, Yad Johosi Yadashnasi, whatever you do, whatever you think of, whatever you give in charity, whatever you give away, do it as an offering to me. So when you are a healer, you are doing that. That is basically what you are focusing on. So whether you are doing it ignorantly or semi-ignorantly or knowledgeably is irrelevant in terms of helping you to get to the point of becoming karma-free. Because you will become karma-free gradually. It's a process. That is how it works.
So the last stage of which is the pure, which you said that now you're doing bhakti yoga. So suppose I want to do that.
So you will be doing it from time to time. You may be slipping into bhakti yoga and slipping out of it. It's not a fixed state necessarily to begin with, but eventually it becomes a fixed state or a relatively fixed state. So that doesn't matter. Because you start on the path, you're going to end up at the destination if you stay on the path. If you go side forays, okay, I'm going bungee jumping, I'm doing this, I'm running off here and there, then you'll have an issue.
So is there a formal way to offer, like you said that now if it's Reiki, you're covering everything, but I wanted to do Reiki so that I could offer it to Krishna. So is that the offering?
Offer what? Offer all your activities. Yes. So then what will happen in your consciousness? You will begin to see Krishna everywhere in terms of whatever you see being a best possible representative of Krishna manifesting through that person in the best possible way.
That's Bhakti Yoga. That's Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
If I
Krishna.
to define Bhakti Yoga, then every day what I'm doing, I can make out whether I'm moving away from it.
Bhakti Yoga is divine, loving, transcendental service to Krishna. Okay? Seva is different. Bhakti is different. So elsewhere Krishna is saying that if you serve, he who serves me best is the highest devotee. So you will get there just by serving him, whether you are having that consciousness or not. But the more your consciousness becomes awakened, it is not a mechanical process, let me say. But the mechanical process, in a sense, as you are using the healing energy in your procedures, in your technique, you are going to get to the place where you don't have that. If you refer right from the beginning, when we gave you your Reiki manuals on page 2 or 3 or 4, there is a blank page and top it says, master the method and then move away from it. So it will become methodless. It will become natural. And there will be times when you will use the method. And there will be times when it is naturally flowing. So it's a process.
Method, that means I won't do my healing?
The healing energy will go without your method. Yeah. It's also going to some extent. The question is to what extent does it go? Like if you find that healing is taking place in your presence, then the method is not there. Then the healing is flowing naturally. Right?
So when you said last time in your Gita lessons that one is that you're doing healing but you don't know Krishna. But when you bring Krishna into the equation, it becomes
multiplied, yeah.
And then even if you have karma at the end, then Krishna will take care of it.
Yes, he will take care. Janardhan is taking care. Don't worry.
So then how do I formally offer everything?
By this, you have a method by which you formally offer everything to Reiki, which is the consciousness or the life force energy of Krishna, the spiritual part of it, that is offering to Krishna.
That's Reiki, but then you said Krishna specifically.
Yeah, so that part of him, there's no difference between him and his energies, unlike us. The energy of Krishna is the same potency as Krishna himself. It is appearing in a different form. It is like when you chant the Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It has the same potency as Krishna himself to purify you and to liberate you. So Reiki has the same. It has the same energy to purify and liberate you. We are using it. It's available to be used in a particular way. We are using it. Now you can't go around chanting Hare Krishna and doing your work the whole day. It's not possible. So what happens? The energy of Hare Krishna becomes, you can say, substituted by the healing energy, which now you're channeling 24 hours a day. There is some passive channeling and some active channeling, but there is channeling going on. When you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, there is the energy there at that time, and there may also be some passive and some active energy happening at that time. But we find that when you are chanting, when you are using the healing energy, you have direct access to that point in time, the present moment, to change your life through this methodology. we cannot compare one to another as being more superior or inferior or anything like that. So that is not being done here. We are saying that they work differently. On the one hand, when you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are entirely dependent on that energy to support you through life. So that is also a very high level of surrender to the energy. And on the other hand, when you are surrendering in a systematic way, let Reiki's will be done, which is divine will, which is Krishna's will, let that be done, you are also surrendering. But then you actually have to surrender, you can't complain,
So do I have to mention Krishna after every affirmation?
No, you don't.
Just knowing that I'm doing this for Krishna.
This is Krishna's energy directly. As long as you know that and you connect with that, not a problem. Yeah. Don't superimpose. If everything is not one in that sense. Krishna has different actions and aspects according to, he's saying like you can't say the moon is Krishna. Krishna is saying I am the moon, but the moon is not Krishna. It's a one way. Krishna says I am the sun, I am the moon, but the moon is not me. The moon starts thinking he's me, he's in trouble. He's got false ego. You see? So that is the thing.
So by blessings, education and guidance, we move forward in life. But I feel stuck at one place, the past relationships. Like, sir, I have observed or rather come to an understanding that the past, everybody has a past is a bank of some emotional issues, not good issues. So they are not healed. That's why in the present, while we are now moved ahead, but that is interfering sometimes.
How do you mean not healed?
So because
what is not healed?
Because despite our best conduct and everything, there seems to be a shortfall in reciprocation or...
So this is not a problem of healing, this is a problem of your expectation. That I am doing this and the other person is not responding. So that means you're not neutral. A healed relationship is where you're neutral. Krishna says, I am nobody's enemy, I am nobody's friend. But for those who are my devotees, I am their friend. They are in me and I am in them. That means I am now reciprocating. So that's the only reciprocating aspect you have to focus on, is whether you are reciprocating with Krishna or not. If there are certain relationships which will remain from the other person's side. You can't legislate. Now I've done so much healing, I have healed a lot, and now this person is still abusing me. Why are you sticking around for the abuse? Get out of that relationship. So that is your problem. You are thinking that it must happen within this zone only. That I must remain in this relationship, tied up the way I am, but the other person must change himself entirely. That's not happening. So then you should learn from there that it will not happen. Don't waste your time. And don't invest in it anymore. You do what is needed and you detach yourself. The question is, you don't want to detach yourself for two reasons. One is that you may be emotionally attached to the idea how you should be treated by this person now, that you are in a superior place, the other person should acknowledge your superiority, which is not happening, which is what is bothering you. The other aspect is that you are thinking that, I should be able to control this person's behavior towards me. So you have the controller aspect there and you have the superiority aspect there, so you need to look at that. That's your false ego. Leave it. Move on in life. Chhod do. Koi bhi ho. Yeah, parent, father, mother, anybody. Yeah, if you can afford to do it, yes. If you can't,
My mother and sister. This is my mother.
Okay.
And my sister. I'm so glad that the topic is here because she has this very indirect understanding of the Lord, but the moment we place Him, As I didn't know, then I think there is a conflict. So today when you were talking, I was hoping she realizes that. I keep saying, so last days, think of him and understand
Last
the
days?
source. So motivation
Okay.
to go towards
Uh-huh.
that, you feel that
Yes,
you're
why
lucky
not?
you're going to the last part of your
Yeah. Now you reached the exit gate. Huh?
We all are.
Train is waiting for you. Huh? It's coming on the
I
platform.
have to be aware. Like I tell my grandparents to start thinking now of
Uh-huh.
Source of whatever it is. They have a bigger bag.
My father-in-law used to tell me, "What are you doing this Krishna all this time? It is our age. We should be doing." So I said, "Are you doing it?" No. Then
When I was small, and she used to take me off from all this all the time. And he was so organized.
yeah, because we get disappointed. We say, "Okay, now we tried the Krishna thing, it didn't work. Now let's try the astrologer thing." And the astrologer thing also will not work.
She was very clear, even though they came from very humble, beginnings, from a village which, was nothing. And my father and she came out of it, and they were children when they were married. So how they came out of whatever, so they relied on themselves and in this
That's
goodness
great.
aspect
Yeah.
that they, followed. But he was, of course, my father was always he was the one who got the books that we read when we were young.
Okay.
And so we remembered that.
Well, that's good. Well, father and mother are the first gurus that you have.
Very interesting people when it came to that. But this part, of course,
Yes.
we could
So,
get from them,
see, the wonderful thing about our country is that there is a culture that exists. So somehow everyone knows something about Krishna, even if it's ulta sita. It doesn't matter. Some of it may be okay, some of it may not be so okay.
But the base which they put in of making it easy for me today, I feel, to understand it. Because I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
I thank God for them, because of that goodness part was very easy to
Yes.
to be the value parts. Nothing, they didn't tell us anything. I think that was the
No, it's
biggest
just,
thing. They never
yeah,
told us anything. They never
you just
stopped us.
absorb certain
Yeah.
things.
The way they did it, I guess.
Right.
We lead by example, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
Headstrong kids.
how do you deal with when your parent or something does? I can't run away like you said, sir.
You should get to run away.
Or-
Understand why.
So then learn to be a good obedient servant.
Why would he not give it to him?
You should know your place in life. Basically.
I said that to him.
Yeah. Hanji.
the biggest takeaway from today's class mentioned this phase of Bhagavad Gita can become a biggest obstacle.
Yes, it can.
It's a huge.
We'll revisit it next time also if you want to discuss this. If you don't have this expanded understanding, then you are not really connecting, because this is the chapter 10, the description here and the expansion of that understanding is critical to your understanding what's coming next in the Bhagavad Gita. If you don't really connect with this, with your own life, then it becomes, shiao over your head.
From 9 to 10, he's
When I connected to it,
Attendance and-
what we were doing was so much, and it could go up there, and the experience when we was narrating it. He, as a healer, you brought us at that platform, and we could experience it.
Yes, and good you because
spite of reading
because
it,
Krishna is saying that unless my Yogmaya energies allow you, you will never get to that point.
What is Krishna doing there?
Krishna doing that. Krishna is the enjoyer, of everything, and everybody else is a servant, knowingly or unknowingly. So if you are not connected to him, you are serving Krishna's in terms of the Maya energies. So you serve, you must. Our position is servant.
That word is so distracting, serving, no? Because we serving is that some kind of an aspect like that. Not knowing the activity we are doing is called
And that-
serving.
There's also simplifying is also required.
You can't simplify down to nothingness. The whole point now of this is expansion of your understanding about Krishna. So you can understand him that by studying chapter 10, and before that you have to study 9 and 8 and 7, and you have to go in sequence. Otherwise, you don't come to this understanding with a proper mental attitude.
See, last 1 week I've gone back to chapter 8 now.
Yes, one can go back.
I want to say the cause of all causes that seems to be stuck over here. Since he's the cause of everything that's happening around me, then it becomes easy not to complain. And
Right.
That's all. I get very scared that I'm now outsourcing my responsibility to him because
No,
he's the boss
you
of
are.
whatever's happening.
No. The thing is that you cannot abandon what you have to do. You cannot abandon your duties and obligations. These are debts, karmic debts. What is an obligation? You say you must do your work, perform your obligation. You are obliged. You are indebted. You must do it. You have no option. So then why are you cribbing? If there is no option, there is no option. Why are you saying no healing? You must give me the option that I want because I want to be superior. So false ego situation is not going to be encouraged. So it's if you look at it, it is an unbelievable management of how Krishna is prodding you along. Actually. Like donkeys. My professor used to say, "You donkey."
So duty is something you can't avoid. So if I have a choice, I understand it's
Yeah, what is duty?
that's what I mean.
Yeah, duty is that obligation.
You have to do.
Yes, otherwise there are karmic repercussions.
If I have a choice, then
You think you have choices, and some choices will give you karmic repercussions which are very bad or painful. Others will be less painful, and others will be painful but ultimately good. So Krishna says that it depends. What is in the beginning like nectar becomes poison at the end. And what tastes poisonous in the beginning can be nectarian because you are not used to doing something. It's very difficult for you to do. It's very hard work. It's very this, it's very that, and it's very uncomfortable. But ultimately the result is there. Like practicing a skill or studying for an exam or whatever it is, you are doing some work which you are not skilled at sufficiently. There's a lot of pain involved. If you are exercising after a long time, there's a lot of pain. You can hardly move if you overexercise. Oh, today I can do this, and then tomorrow you're flat in bed because you didn't realize that you overdid it. So there is pain, but at the end there is a good result.
that is my duty.
Well, your duty is to go ahead regardless of the pain.
So my duty would be like, is it common for everybody?
And there are certain duties based on your position in life. There are certain duties that are coming out of your birth. Krishna says you have duties to the parents because they give you the body through which you can get all your karma sorted out and achieve your objectives, whatever they are. You have duty to the community, you have duty to the devatas, to the demigods or the controlling deities of the place. You have duty to the elements. I mean, you've eaten the food, your mother ate food that was in some soil, it was growing because of the elements, so there you owe the elements. So there you are born in debt, in servitude to your senses. So, duty is not optional. This is inconvenient, I don't want to do it. It's not my duty. It's not my job. Well, whether it's inconvenient or not, duty is duty. You may choose to not do it. The other thing is that a higher duty can override the lower one. You may have a lower duty towards your family. But if a higher duty towards the divine is there, genuinely, you can cancel the lower one. I mean, it can override.
That's why we are like they say in the Gita that someone who's devotionally serving Krishna, that he has no duty.
He has no duty. For such a person, there is no duty.
So I can choose what I want.
Yeah, but you have to execute it. You have to execute it. How do you execute it? It is not to be lightly done. It's not a matter of saying, okay, I am now chanting Hare Krishna, now I don't do anything else. You find a lot of people. It's not an escape system from escaping to doing work. मैं तो मंदिर में बैठा हूँ जी, मैंने कुछ नहीं करना, आप लोग करो. Make sure all my creature comforts are there. No, that's not working. So you have to be very careful. The mind is a tricky fellow. So you have to understand that. That is a different topic. That how I should act. So if you are acting for a higher principle, that will override a lower principle. The higher principle is always going towards Krishna consciousness, going towards fulfilling your obligation towards Krishna. Actually, you have a duty to Krishna also ultimately. So devotional service overrides other services. So whichever way you manifest this in your life, it cannot be done artificially. You cannot renounce. There has to be yukta vairagya. There has to be linked renunciation, not unlinked. So unlinked is if you link it to your false ego. No, I don't like this. I'm not going to do it. Okay. That's not the way. Okay, so we will conclude here today at text 22, chapter 10. And we will revisit this next time if needed, and then we will continue from here on. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 You've been listening to Bhagavad Gita for All, a practical guide for everyday life. A lecture series by Nalan Narula. Chapter 10. The Infinite Opulence of the Absolute.